Alright guys, another quick, well not really quick, but another update. So, as you can see, I haven't really made a whole lot of progress other than trying to get stuff organized. Car is still in one piece, parts are piling up, but I haven't started pulling the car apart yet. I'd kind of planned on starting to pull the car apart, but I don't know, there's just something about pulling apart a fully functional car, or a fully functioning car. You know, when it's broken, you obviously, you just want to tear right into it and get stuff done, but when you can still drive it and enjoy it somewhat, it's really hard to want to pull it apart, especially when the outcome is somewhat uncertain. As you may have guessed, since the car is not apart yet, this isn't going to be a very exciting video, or exciting in the sense that you'll be seeing stuff getting done. This is just once again just going over some more parts that I got, all the little bits and pieces to make this work. I think I got everything, but I should probably make a checklist. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much ready to go, other than a few small odds and ends. Alright, so let's go over some of the new parts. Obviously, you already know about the adapter plate. So these are the Toyota specific parts. You'll need a clutch slave cylinder. This is, forget what I ordered this for, but, or MR2, Camry, anything that, basically just get the same one that the transmission. Just get the same one for the vehicle that the transmission came out of. So I just got one for a Camry. It's pretty simple, pretty normal stuff, just a plain old slave cylinder. So the other Toyota specific part, which you will probably already have if your transmission came with it, mine did not. The throwout bearing lever, or clutch release lever, or whatever you want to call it. 20 bucks, actual Toyota part though, so I mean, I guess that's kind of cool if you're really anal about getting genuine parts or whatever. But so the next parts are Escort related. These are late model Escort spindles. Alright, so by late model I mean later than 97, I believe. I also believe the Protege spindles are different. Anyways, these are, like I said, these are 98 Ford Escort spindles. The reason why you have to switch them out is because of the ball joint mount there is slightly larger. And the reason why you need a slightly larger one is for these. So these are 88 RX-7 lower ball joints. So what these allow you to do is they actually extend the track of the vehicle ever so slightly to allow for the new axles to fit, because the new axles are slightly longer, or slightly too long, I guess. But this stub here is slightly larger than the Escort GT spindle. So in order for these to fit, I mean, you could theoretically drill out your spindles, but you'd have to get it perfect, and I just didn't want to risk it, so I just ran down to the junkyard and grabbed some new spindles, and so now I have a nice snug fit. And of course I sandblasted them and painted them to make sure they were all nice and pretty. So yeah, 88 RX-7 lower ball joints and 97 plus spindles. The other option is to go with MX3 lower control arms, because they're longer than the Escort GT control arms, and you can keep your stock spindles and whatnot. But I just figured I'd go this route since the junkyard had these and it was about the same price, so I just went this route. So of course, so I went ahead, I bought new hubs. I didn't really need new hubs, but I wanted to put new bearings in these, and you can't really replace the bearings without replacing the hubs. You can theoretically use the old hubs, but there's a race that ends up getting stuck on these and you have to cut it off, and I'm just lazy, and these are 25 bucks a piece, so I was like, it's worth the time saved to just go ahead and buy new hubs. So bearings I can go pick up at the parts store, they have those in stock, but that's the other part I ordered. So shiny new spindles, or new hubs. So the other part I sourced, this is another Toyota part, but a very important part, the passenger side stub with the carrier bearing on it. I thought about potentially replacing this bearing. I think it's good enough. I'm not going to bother replacing it yet. And of course it came with the engine mount, so you're going to have to, in order to use this brace, you're going to have to figure out, So anyways, yeah, this basically supports the axle just like it does with the G series, but you're gonna have to figure out a way to attach this to the back of the BP block. So a lot of people, they just make a bracket that this bolts to, that then bolts to the block. We'll figure that out when we get there. I also have the driver's side stub, but it's currently inside the transmission and I can't get it out, so we'll just leave that there. Those stubs, by the way, are from a MR2, a non-LSD MR2. Of course, if you have an LSD in your transmission, then you're going to want the stubs for the LSD MR2. But yeah, they have to be the MR2 stubs because they're just the right length. So I also ordered a clutch disc, but this is the wrong one. Oops. So I have to send this back and get the right one. They apparently made a little accident there, sent me the entirely wrong one. It's supposed to be for a Toyota Helix, you know, or Toyota Tacoma or whatever, some Toyota 4-cylinder truck. And it's the right spline and right diameter. It's the right spline for the transmission, right diameter for the BP flywheel. All right, so these axles are 1989 Camry axles. They have to be the V6. You have to make sure they have the 6-bolt mount here. So the axles are 2-piece axles, meaning there's no stub on the other side. The other half of the axle is this guy, and they basically bolt together. They fit together like so. And you send the 3 bolts through. Make sure you grease them before you put them in. There's a bag of grease that comes in the bag. So, but yeah, like I said, they're just open like so. So most swaps recommend you use Celica, Celica all-track axles. They're kind of hard to find and they're kind of expensive. Anyways, I was told by a reliable source that the Camry axles are just the right length. So, and the nice thing about these axles is that they fit the Escort spline. So, like I was saying, these axles, they fit the Escort hub. So there's no fancy weird stuff that has to go on there. So these bolt to the MR2 stubs right into the axles, and then you're pretty close, which is why you need these guys to extend the track ever so slightly. So the axles come with grease, new bolt, and a gasket. So, and they're cheap. They're like $50 a piece. So you're not gonna break the bank on those. You break one, big deal. You just get a new one. And they're easy enough to change since you don't have to pop the entire axle out of the transmission. That break an axle at the track, you can roll her back at the end of the staging lane and change an axle and be ready to go. All right, so the only other things I got were some bar stock. I've got some 1/2-inch big honking stock here. Then I got some 1/4-inch bar stock. I believe that's 1/4-inch. And another piece of 1/4-inch that's just slightly taller because I wasn't sure what I would need. Yep. And then this guy, which I think I put in the last video. This will be to house the bushings. So I got that, and then I have a piece of 1/4-inch, and I have a big heavy piece of 1/4-inch stock there. And then I have a piece of like 5/16 stock that I've started chopping up. All right, so I got this. I got the 1/4-inch bar stock, or plate stock, and I had some like 5/16, I think. And I started cutting out some pieces to start fabbing up some mounts and whatnot. I tried using the plasma cutter at work, and I've never used a plasma cutter, so obviously it came out pretty horrible. It requires a lot of cleanup, so I need to go back and try again and get some cleaner cuts. Plus, I think I'm going to use the 1/4-inch instead of this. This is probably plenty thick, but might as well go a little bit thicker. So I kind of started making some templates of the bolt patterns of the transmission. But yeah, I was gonna start making some mounts, but I figured I'll wait till I pull the engine, get the engine and transmission into the engine bay, and then determine what I need to do, because that's gonna really decide on how the mounts are gonna go. I thought I could kind of eyeball it and guess, but it's like I don't want to. This shit's kind of expensive, and I don't want to waste it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than, you know, I bought some hardware, some bolts and stuff for everything. I've just kind of been getting some stuff together, so I got most of the hardware I need. I need to trim the bolts and everything, but that's just about everything I need to bolt the transmission to the engine. There's a few other miscellaneous bolts, but that's just about everything. Then yeah, that's pretty much it. All the parts I got now. I still need to clearance the transmission for some of the blind holds, or for some of the bolt heads. I still have to clearance the transmission for the starter. But yeah, I think at this point I'm ready to pull the engine and start fabricating stuff up. But like I said, it's really hard to like have a functioning vehicle that runs, that you can drive and enjoy and pull it apart for something like this. But it needs to get done. I need to stop dragging my feet. It's not getting any cooler out. I definitely want to be done with this by next cool down, by the next season when it's nice and cool out. Also, take a look at that sunset. It's like something from out of a movie.
Three days later.
Alright, so right before I started to edit this, the replacement clutch disc came in. Still gotta send the old one back. It's also about to storm. Good old Florida, that time of year again. So anyways, replacement clutch came in. This is if you guys are doing the swap, this is the disc you want. If you decide to go with competition clutch, decide to go with them because they're obviously a reputable brand, and they're one of the few companies where you can buy components for their clutch separate from a complete clutch kit. I went ahead, went with competition clutch because they had what I needed. So, like I said, there you go. There's a model number. That's the guy you want to look for. Storms are rolling in. Nice. So, the nice thing about this disc is that it is obviously the Toyota spline. So, it fits on the Toyota transmission. So, it's the correct spline for that. But, it is also, this is the old eBay clutch. This isn't the flywheel I'm using, but, you know, for the purpose of this demonstration, it's just what I'm going to use. But anyways, yeah, so it is the correct diameter for the BP flywheel. I'm not quite sure about the thickness. It seems like a pretty standard thickness. It's as thick as the eBay clutch anyways. But yeah, I gotta make sure it's gonna work with the clutch master pressure plate. But yeah, so this is the magical piece. It's actually pretty funny. Man, it is. I think it is about to, like, all hell's about to break loose. Super windy. Oh, lovely. So yeah, I think like one of the most interesting things about this swap is the amount of parts that just work. You know, like the clutch disc is an off-the-shelf part. The axles. I'm gonna close the door there. That didn't make things much better. So yeah, just the amount of parts that just kind of work. You know, like there's not a lot of parts that have to be custom made. You know, like the clutch disc works, the axles are just MR2 stubs with Camry or Celica outer portions, and they're just about the right length. And you know, so you know, props really goes to the pioneers that did the swap before I ever came along. The work they did before me is really going to make this a lot easier on my part. I don't have to do a bunch of you know, hunting for things and trying this and trying that. They've already done it. We know it works. That's really loud. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this here. Until next time.